Good evening. Welcome to Leicester Fan TV and another away fan show. It's been recorded on a Friday night before we play Southampton. With the fact that we're playing Stockport County on Tuesday night, the games are coming thick and fast. And for me and the rest of the content team, we're recording these very, very quickly. So God knows how we will go into it. Will it be a win for Leicester over Southampton, or will it be another defeat going into Tuesday night's game? Big game Tuesday night for me as well. The fact that we're playing a lower league team, a team who have just been promoted from the old conference into the League Two after a number of seasons away. It's got every chance of a cup upset. Stockport County will be buzzing to be facing a former Premier League champion of days gone by now, and this is not going to be easy tie for us. Leicester will probably change it up and probably put a different team out to the one that Southampton will face on Saturday. I've got Ross from the Stockport channel to come on and have a good chat with us about it. Let's get Ross on now. Evening, Ross.
Hello, mate. You okay? It's Russ,
Yeah,
by the way, not Ross, but
Ross.
that's fine. We're amongst friends.
Thanks, mate. Tell me about your channel, mate. What you do.
Yeah, pretty much the same as you. So we're a Stockport County fan channel called the Scarf Bergara War. We sing a song on the terraces called "The Scarf My Father Wore." It's a big song that you'll hear it on Tuesday.
Okay.
And an old manager of ours, Danny Bergara. I don't know if your fans have heard of him. But just merge the two, and we do the same as you. We do a weekly show, sometimes extra, cover the matches. We get players on, we get staff on. We've interviewed our current manager. So yeah, it's pretty much what you do, but probably with less watchers, I guess.
It's all for the love of the game, mate. So
Absolutely.
obviously we'll go back to last season. What was a magical season for you boys? Obviously, you finished top of the National League as champions. Played 44, won 30, drew 5, lost 10, scored a record 87 goals and only conceded 38. A goal difference of 49. You finished on 94 points. That's must have been a hell of a season for you boys last year.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and it started off pretty poorly as well. I think we were 10th in November, I want to say, and then we changed the manager. We had a manager that's now in the England setup, and he was all about prioritizing not losing, if you get what I mean, rather than winning. Very, very Gareth Southgate. If you ever watch England, lots of sideways passing, like protection. So the football wasn't great. Was in 10th, and then we that was enough. We were favourites to go up to be champions anyway. So we started on a bit of a handicap. Got Dave Challoner in, lost. Oh God, I think we lost one game in the first 15 matches or something. Lost a match. I know, drew a match and then went on another 10-game unbeaten winning run, and just had a bit of a stumble towards the end, but enough points in the bag to get over the line.
Now, Leicester fans will remember Dave Channer. Dave Channer was the famous player who played for Tranmere Rovers in the League Cup final of 2001, and he had the very long throw, if I
He
remember
did.
correctly.
Yes.
So, yes, we do remember Dave Channer at Leicester. He was the danger man that day, I think, he put out. How's this season gone for you? I mean, it's obviously a big step up coming into the Football League again after, was it 4 or 5 years down there, maybe a bit longer, were you in the...
Yeah, well, no, we were in National League North as well, not
Yeah.
too long ago. So it's been 11 years that we've been out of the league. Relegated out of the league in 2012, just come back this season now. It's a big step up. People say the top of the National League because of all the investment. It's like a League Three almost, but it is still a step up. And people say that the top of the National League is just as good, if not better, as the bottom or mid-table in League Two. We're finding there's a bit of adjustment to do. It's not as there's not as many dark arts in League Two. I think there's more probably the further down you go. But yeah, it's taking time to adjust. So we've played 5, won 2, lost 3. And that includes the first round of the cup against Harrogate as well.
Yeah, I can see you were 3-0 down. I think it was the opening day of the season, was it? Home to Barrow, and you dragged yourself back into that one to get 2 goals back. Obviously, there's players that people will know, won't know in your team. It's probably a mixed bag, but for me, Paddy Madden stands out for you boys. He's been around the old Football League and the National Leagues for a long time. Is he your danger man the Leicester fans are going to look out for on Tuesday night, or is it
Yeah.
going to be a different kettle of fish for you boys? Will you put different players out?
No, we'll play the strongest team, I'm sure. The strongest team we have. Paddy Madden is definitely our main sort of talisman, if you like. He's the club captain. Signed him from League One at a couple of seasons ago. So you're right to name him. The other one is probably Anthony Sarcevic. So he came from Bolton in League One. We signed their captain when we were in National League. So, when we've got a team full of what we call captains for the level. Fraser Horsfall from Northampton as well. So there's a few players in there. Probably none that you've heard of. You may have heard of Callan Camps.
Yeah, I was going to say that name, that rings a bell. And Jennings, another one that sticks out to me as well, I've seen.
Yeah, so Connor Jennings doesn't really get into the first team these days, although he played in the first round of the Cup. He's had his first pre-season for a few years and had a really nasty illness as well, cancer in the arm.
Yeah.
So he's recovering from that. So he might be on the bench. But yeah, the others you probably won't have heard of from your Premier League outings and things like that. Because I know what you lads are like. You don't look beyond 20th in the Premier League, do you? You lot up there.
Oh, do you know what? I've got a soft spot for Mansfield Town, so I do
Oh,
try and keep. Yeah,
right.
I do try and keep a look at the divisions. I'll be honest, Mark, if there's any football on and it's on the telly, then it'll be on my TV. I can guarantee it. So I'm
the
on
same.
I'm quite happy to watch Oldham were on the other night in their first home game in the National League. So I'll watch any football when it's on. Obviously, we haven't met you boys in the league since 2008, 2009. Obviously, Leicester were promoted League One champions under Nigel Pearson. Leicester played you second game of the season, a 0-0 ball draw. I was there that day. At least it wasn't raining. I don't think you've got a cover over that stand still, have you, the railway end?
No, we haven't yet. It's coming, though. It's coming.
And then it would be a 1-1 draw in March time. And former Leicester City striker we were just talking about, Chris O'Grady, went to score on that day. So, obviously, the clubs went in different directions. We went off to the Championship. We had our highs and lows, the Watford and Cardiff playoff defeats, winning the Championship, winning the Premier League, relegation, Champions League. How did it go so dramatically wrong for Stockport that they dropped so far down the footballing pyramid? Because you've always been a well-run club before that, and you've always been around that League One Championship at the time. That was the old League One and the Championship. Why did it go so wrong for Stockport County?
Yeah, I mean, it was just a catalogue of errors, catastrophic errors. We've actually done a podcast series ourselves on it on our channel. I think there's about 13 hours of in-depth timeline of it, of what happened. The first thing that happened majorly was we severed the club from the ground. And if that happens to any club, then you're asking for trouble. So Sale Sharks rugby union team had the ownership of the ground and they'd severed us from that. Went into administration, lots of numerous owners that weren't treating the club right, and we also at one point had the supporters trust in charge, which that was good, but we just didn't have the skills in the team in the trust team to run a football club. Fans, unless they're really well set up, can't really run football clubs, so we suffered from that. And dropped like a stone. We dropped out of the Football League in 2012, so 3 years after we played you last. And 2 years later dropped into semi-professional regional football in National League North. And that was horrific, let me tell you. Playing village teams, and it was, I think we got beat by Vauxhall Motors one day away from home. And the only people cheering were the players' like parents and family. There wasn't very much crowd there. So opposite ends. And of course, our good time started to come back in 2015, 2016, which is, of course, when you won the Premier League. So you can see how there were two polar opposites. We were 6 divisions away from you at that point. So it's nice that we've now got ourselves back up. And there's good reasons why we're back up. We've got a really heavy backer now. Our owner's a local businessman worth around 800 million. Wants to get us back into the Championship within another 5 years. And he's building on the ground. Wants it to be a 22,000 all-seater with a cover on that end. So when if you ever come in future, that you should stay dry. So yeah, we're all happy. We're all happy to be back in the Football League and back playing teams like Leicester in the second round of the cup, and not having to play qualifying rounds in the FA Cup just to reach the first round.
Again, see, that's the big for me as a football fan. I used to, like, in the Championship, you see you getting right second round of the FA Cup, first round, playing those lower league teams for me, because the FA Cup is probably the Premier League. You get to the third round, half the time you end up playing a Premier League team again, so you miss all that opportunity. And this is why I like the League Cup. For me, is massive. People dismiss the League Cup, but for me, the value's still there for the lower league teams and some of the Premiership teams, because it offers a cup competition. It's a chance of silverware, but for your boys especially, it's a chance to, well, completely fill your ground by the sounds of it, because I know Leicester sold the away fans out for that end, and by the sound of it, there's not many tickets left in the home end, is there, going to
sold
this
out.
game?
It's full house, yeah.
And again, for you as a club financially, these are big times really, because this extra revenue then goes back into the club. You can also look at transfers, the stadium expansion, it all needs paying for. So you talk about the vision of the chairman in 5 years' time. Vish had a dream, and he had a 5-year plan to get us into Europe. Did it quicker than that? It'd be
there you go.
Great opportunity for you boys to go, and having investors massive, really. As you said, trusts are great. Leicester had one. I remember when we went into administration at the time, we had the Foxes Trust, who got set up to try and help. Obviously, the consortium came in, Lineker. So to hear again another one who had a trust for the fans are the main things. And sadly, I think the Premier League, that gets lost nowadays. The fans aren't the main. Where in the Football League, the fans are it, because without the fans, you wouldn't be able to have the players that you sign, the better players. Going into Tuesday night, obviously sellout, hostile atmosphere we're coming into, because it is very tight ground, if I remember from all those years ago.
Yeah, I'm not sure about hostile. It'll be more. We'll be very vocal. We'll probably be vocal for the full 90, as we were at Doncaster away on Tuesday. We didn't shut up for 90 minutes, even though we lost in the end 2-1. So it'd be very, very vocal. You'll hear a lot of us. I wouldn't say it'd be nasty or a bit of needle. Just vocal. I'm not sure if we're doing some sort of tifo this time. We usually do that for big games. We've got a group called Hatters 83 that set those up. So yeah, it'll be a tight. Yeah, you're right. Tight ground. We won't give you much time on the ball. We're big on the counter press, which we've struggled with in the Football League since we've come back, because teams don't like having the ball that we've played so far. So we've had the ball a lot, which is unusual for us. What we're used to is other team chasing other teams down and then getting it and then sort of reacting. So we'll be on you. We'll be vocal. And it'll be a good atmosphere. The best thing that you lot could do is probably score early. If Vardy scores early and gives us a bit, then that all bets are off, aren't they? but you know what? But that'll be great. That'll be great. There's a little story I've got to tell you though. Part of our dark days when we were in League Two on our way down last time, we had a manager called Paul Simpson. Mm-hmm. You must have heard of Paul Simpson. Mm-hmm. He replaced our then manager, Jim Gannon, who came back later on. It's a bit complicated story, but anyway, Paul Simpson came into a whiteboard in the training room, and there was a load of transfer targets that Jim Gannon had on the board. Jamie Vardy was one of them when he was, I think he'd have been was he at Halifax before Fleetwood? I can't remember.
Yeah.
He was,
it was Halifax, and then he went to Fleetwood. Yes,
Fleetwood, yeah. So he had Jamie Vardy on this board. Paul Simpson came in, wiped his name off, said, right, we're not even going for Jamie Vardy. I want George Donnelly. A lad called George Donnelly. So the then chairman, who was a bit of a rogue, put out a tweet and said, who would you rather have, George Donnelly or Jamie Vardy? We all voted. Everyone voted, and it came back George Donnelly, and that's who we signed. And what could have been if we'd have signed Jamie Vardy and Fleetwood wouldn't have got him? There you go.
How did George Donnelly do?
I don't know. I think he's playing for. I think he might have just retired from Radcliffe or something. I don't know. No, I mean he signed for us, and he was half decent. He scored a few goals, but
I think with Vardy, like you say, the story with Vardy is like back then he went from Halifax to Fleetwood, and he had a good season at Halifax, and Fleetwood again took a chance, and the rest of history, they say, because then Leicester took the chance. Everyone was talking about 500,000, and Leicester went, "No, there's your million, we'll take him," and that was it. There was no one was going to match it. Even Holloway said at the time, I think at Blackpool, who was looking at him, went, well, I ain't paying that much for a non-league player. No
Yeah.
way. And that's not worth it. Well, they say the rest is history. Where Vardy's
Yeah.
gone and done and shown people that players in their lower league, they are good enough to make all the way up to transitions from that up to the Premier League. Tuesday night's game. What do you think your prediction for your lineup will be? And tell us about a few of your individual players as you go through that team. Because, like they say, there's a lot of Leicester fans who will not have a clue. But like I say, Bar, Paddy Madden, the lad who signed for Bolton, obviously. But what would you think your prediction lineup, and what's the history of some of the players so we get a feel about what we're up against?
Yeah, so I do a little prediction thing on an app every match. So yeah, we'll probably start with Yaros in net, who's a on loan goalkeeper from Liverpool. So I think he's something like their fourth choice goalkeeper or something. He was on loan at Notts County last season, so he's come to us this season. He's pretty good. We'll usually play with a back five if we've got the personnel. We've had a player sent off on Tuesday, so that might change things for the match against Mansfield tomorrow. We go away to Mansfield tomorrow. That's one for you to look out for. Got a pretty decent sort of back line. We've got a player on loan from Blackburn called James Brown. Obviously, the jokes come out about him feeling good and all that kind of stuff. And then we've got a couple of decent centre halves called Joe Lewis, Ryan Johnson, and Fraser Horsfall as well. I probably think he will start in the back three. James Brown on the right. Ryan Rydell will probably start on the left. He's a youngster, released from Rochdale, I think, but he's been pretty good. He was part of our title-winning team last season. And then it's likely to be, I think it'll be a Ryan Crowsdale, Miles Hippolyte, Callum Camps, and Anthony Sarcevic in the middle. And then with Paddy Madden up front, that might change with one or two maybe coming in or one or two coming out. We've got a Kyle Wootton, who's a striker from Notts County. Notts County's Player of the Year and top scorer last season. So we snagged him from them. So that's pretty much it. I'm guessing you've only heard of maybe two or three of those names. But that's, that's just where we are. We're certainly looking in the loan market from Premier League teams. Some decent youngsters from Premier League teams.
Going into obviously the rest of the season, what's your expectation for Stockport County? Where do you think they can finish this year on the return to the Football League realistically? Because it's always difficult. You see the teams who come up get that little bit of momentum behind them, and it can help them massively. You also see the two teams who come up like in the Premier League who spend Fulham 180 odd million a year 2 seasons ago, and they went straight back down. Forest just spent 152 to 160 odd million. You never know what you're going to get and if the player's going to gel. Do you think you've kept enough of the core players that got you promoted to stay in the league or push for that playoffs?
Yeah, I think we have. I think the aim for the club is to go up again. The bookies had us as joint favourites to go up automatically. Now that the season started, before the season started, I was saying to other podcasts I'd be happy with playoffs or above, trying to temper it a bit. Now we've started, I think people's expectations have started to be reined in a bit because we've lost 3 out of the first 4. And there is going to be a time of adjustment for that. So expectation-wise, I think generally the fan base, there's a lot of the fan base that are just happy to be in the Football League, after 11 years away, because it does mean a lot to us. But yeah, generally I think playoffs is probably a sensible achievement for us, given that we won the National League. We've only added quality to the squad for that, and we've got a good depth in the squad as well. I think it's just a case of adjusting to the league and keeping everybody happy. We've got 23, 24 players that need to be kept happy. So I don't think many other teams in our division can boast that kind of depth.
We've got that at the moment, man. We can't keep all our players happy.
Well, we know all about your situation.
We've had a busy day today on the old channel with the old Mr. Fafana kicking off and apparently now not playing this weekend. So I doubt he'll pro play at Stockport unless Brendan feel like he wants to chuck him in that game. Time for your prediction for Tuesday night. I know we're doing this way before and things might change completely after Saturday's results of both for us. What do you think the score's going to be, or what would you be happy with going on Tuesday night?
I'd be happy with it going to penalties, score draw maybe. I don't think it'll be 0-0. I think either we will score or you will score. So I'd be happy with going to penalties. We did our midweek show this week, and we did a bit of predictions for it and things. And I said, well, you're either gonna pepper us completely, or we'll get something out of it. This does depend on Saturday, because if you lose to Southampton, Rodgers is under some real pressure.
Yeah, just
So
a bit.
yeah, so
bit.
and he's not signed anybody yet. So there's pressure coming from all around. I don't know what the reasons are behind that. I'm sure there's circumstances, but yeah, if we can get on top of you, get some pressure on you, crowds behind us, and you don't keep us quiet, I can see us potentially nicking a draw and going straight to penalties. The flip side to that is you could just you know, your quality could just shine through, and you just take the game to us and pepper us. So I'm going to go for 1-1 is the answer to your question, and I'm being positive about that.
Hey mate, 1-0, mate, 1-0 and a lottery of penalties. You know, I think no one's going to grumble at that for you. Russ, thank you so much for joining us. We'll definitely at some point have you back on the show. It'd be great to catch up maybe on international week in the new year.
Yeah,
see how you boys, how you doing, see where we're doing. By that point, we could be relegation scrapping. We could be top 8 again. You never know with Leicester. But it'd be great to have you on the channel at some point over the new year, and we'll see where you're at. But thank you so much for coming on. I'm at the game on Tuesday. Maybe we could meet up for a beer beforehand. I'll be driving up quite early, so it'd be great if we could have a catch up for a beer. But for now, thank you so much for coming on tonight, mate.
no problem. Cheers, mate.
See you, mate. Bye-bye. And there we go. Another away fans gig. Brilliant talk to us about Stockport. It's so enjoyable listening to the stories, especially of clubs who have had to drop further down the league than Leicester did, to then come back up and see where they are now. Hopefully, Leicester can get a win. And I'm saying this now because this will be aired on Monday, that we've beaten Southampton. We're going into this game with a little bit of confidence. On the other hand, we could be changing around, and I could sit there thinking, God, we've just lost to Southampton. It's going to be an interesting weekend all round. But for now, thanks for joining us. Keep it all Leicester Fan TV. We'll bring you the action when it comes live. You know that every single time. As soon as it happens over the next 2.5 weeks before the transfer windows, we will go live. For now, keep it Leicester Fan TV, and good night.